Hey everybody, Jason with Dogwood Landscaping Pools and Patios, and this is one of our awesome putting greens. It's for a couple of reasons. The main reason being they are an avid golfer and they want to get a little bit better at putting because it's drive for show, putt for dough, and this is where you make your money with your buddies. Or maybe they have a junior golfer who wants to improve their game and possibly get some kind of scholarship for college or just join the high school team, whatever it is. And lastly, they just like spending time with the family. And if dad's a golfer and the family is not, this is a spot where they could spend time together. So this client got this green and shaped it the way they did because one, their home course is a local course and they have kind of a tougher green that gives them fits on their uphill and downhill putts. And that's what they wanted to be able to practice. So they said, hey, can you build a green similar to this green so I can practice my uphill, downhill, and kind of off-cantered putts there. You know, this backyard presented a little bit of a challenge. You can see where the neighboring property had a hill that came down onto this property, but we quickly solved that with a nice boulder wall at the back side of it, which helped us get the grade that we really wanted to get for the slopes and the changes and everything that we wanted to do with this green. Or a lot like a patio. They're all different. There's not really one size fits all. So the pricing for a synthetic turf putting green are gonna vary from house to house and from area to area. The main reason for the pricing differences is truly the quality of the turf that's used, the knowledge of the installer, and the materials that they use themselves. For instance, some guys just nail things into the ground and that might kind of work, but it depending on the area that can fail over time. So you're gonna see a difference in pricing across the board, mainly because of quality of materials and quality of installation. Things that you have to consider when you're looking at having a putting green or synthetic turf installed. Typically, what you're gonna look for in the best installer for you and your family is really gonna be their experience. Have they really done this before, or is this something that they went and saw a quick little class done at a local supplier and now all of a sudden they're a turf installer? There's a big difference in contractors these days that really know what they're doing, and the guys that know what they're doing are gonna cost more, but that's because they have the experience and they've bought the experience to give you the product that you really want to last. You don't want to be calling your contractor up every year or two because small things are failing here or there, something just doesn't look right. So you got to be really careful when you do this and make sure that you actually vet your contractor, as in call the people that they've given you a list of turf jobs that they've actually done and talk to those people. So a lot of times when we're designing these putting greens and designing backyards, you know, you can kind of see that this yard is square, but we don't really like straight lines in the landscape, you know? Curves are better. Plus two, you go out on a golf course, find a square putting green. There isn't one, right? So when we're designing putting greens, we want it to be as realistic as possible, not just in the way that it rolls and actually has action with the balls that you hit onto it or putt onto it, but we want it to feel and look like you're actually on a golf course. And so we get our inspiration from a lot of places. And like we said, this putting green is actually like a 1/10 replica of the #1 green on a local golf course here in our area. One of the things that this putting green actually did that we had a talk with a client about was don't make it too hard. This putting green actually has a pretty impressive slope to it that had to be controlled in. And honestly, if one of the reasons that you're doing this putting green is to have fun with the family, well, it's not gonna be fun if you don't make putts. We can't just build a 15 by 15 putting green to mimic that green that you want. It's gonna have to be stretched out, and especially with the slopes, we're gonna have to do that so the ball has time to actually slow down. There's subtle changes in this green that you can't really see with the naked eye or even through the camera, but when we putt from the very back of the green down here to the bottom, the balls will actually stay on the green. So it really helps to have someone who's knowledgeable about golf, who actually loves to play golf and knows what they're doing on a putting green. when building these greens. We need compaction. A big misconception in the buying market for landscape products is, well, contractors slow down in the wintertime. Well, we slow down because of weather. We don't necessarily slow down because of our workload. So the misconception is just that they can do it cheaper because they're slower in the wintertime. The installation of this job took about 3 weeks to do total, but in that 3-week period, we only had 5 working days. So it took a week, but because of the weather, we had to make sure that we had our sub bases and our bases properly compacted so that a couple weeks later, the client wouldn't come out here and move any organics or any dirt, of course, that's in the way. I harp on it all the time: compaction, compaction, compaction. So sometimes you have dirt in areas where we expect to only excavate 4 to 5 inches below the grade level, and we get out here and we do the job and we find bad dirt. There are such things as bad dirt in areas. The bad dirt has to come out, and then after we make sure that our sub base is ready for installation, we compact that sub base. That's one step that a lot of people don't do. Compaction of all your levels and all your lifts is key to the success of any of these kind of projects. Then we'll go ahead and we'll put up our edge restraint. We use a 4-inch bendy board, a composite board that outlines the area that we're working in and helps keep our base material in place. One of the biggest things that a lot of guys don't do is they don't pay attention to the drainage on the turf area. You're still gonna get rain. You're still gonna get pets, peeing and pooping on the products. So our base is usually a 57 stone. We compact that, and then once we have that, we put an 89 stone or a chip stone on top of that, and we smooth that out, and then we install our turfs. This is when the installers start turning into artists, having to cut the turf properly, having to put the right curves, having to mend the seams and blend the seams very carefully, so that way you don't see these things on your finished product. And then once we have all these things installed, there of course is the sanding that goes on top of the turf that helps hold the turf down, but also, again, maintain that drainage capability of your product so that you don't have any problems with that going down the road, and you don't have rot, you don't have the deterioration of the products like you would have prematurely if you didn't manage the water of that. The videos, that's just explaining things really quick. But now that it's finished, let's really see how it plays, all right? See if it holds up to what we built for this client. Watch this. And back down the hill.